So you're going to have the possibility today to actually see what normally you don't see in our system, which is the below ground stuff. But then we're going to talk about also the above ground. So here, Priscilla Pinto, Dr. Priscilla Pinto is a postdoc in our lab, and she is going to tell you more about what is Kernza and what are the benefits and challenges.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Erin, for inviting me, and thank you all of you for coming here and listening to me. I'm Priscilla Pinto. I'm from Argentina, and I am doing a postdoc with Valentin, and I would like to share some ideas of Kernza that inspired me to come here to study this crop. Because maybe the same reason could inspire you to plant Kernza in your field and maybe make a real change in agriculture and not only in our experimental plots. So the first interesting thing about Kernza is that, as Valentin says, it's a perennial crop. So Kernza doesn't require to be planting year after year. You can plant Kernza and harvest for several years grain from the same crop. The other interesting thing about Kernza is the high value grain. So the grain of Kernza is good to make baking good like cookies, scones, bread. Also Kernza could be used to make beer. And I am a witness of this because I tried beer the other week and it's so good. We also could eat Kernza cereals, and we can cook Kernza as a rice and eat Kernza in salad. So the products of Kernza are so good, high protein content, and I think that the demand of this type of product will increase in the following years because there are a lot of consumers that want to eat healthier products with low environmental impact. So this is the second interesting thing about Kernza. And the other thing is a dual purpose crop. So we can harvest grain, but also we can harvest forage from Kernza. And this is an interesting thing because, to be honest, the grain of Kernza is still modest. Here in Wisconsin, we have harvest between 200 and 900 kilograms per hectare of grain. So the possibility to harvest forage allows make the Kernza profitable in our field. And in this sense, Valentin with Fabre and other colleagues studied the quality of this forage. And we have three possibilities to harvest forage from Kernza during the spring, during summer, and during the fall. And in the summer, we can harvest the straw of Kernza that, the quality is low, but we can harvest more than 6 tons per acre of this straw. And we can harvest in the spring and fall more than 1 ton per acre that have a good quality to the livestock. So this is the three interesting things, and also all the environmental benefits that have plant a perennial crop in our system. So the first thing is that we don't have to plant every year. We avoid a lot of tillage. So for several years we can avoid tillage and protect our soil, maintain soil organic matter, and maintain soil structure. The other thing that is like Kernza is growing all the year is using all the resources that we have in our field. So all the energy that comes from the sun, all the radiation is intercepted by Kernza, do photosynthesis and fix carbon. And similar with the water and with the nutrients. And you know that when we have a high availability of these resources and we don't have a crop that absorbs and catch these nutrients, the risk of losing these resources is very high. So Kernza helps to reduce erosion and reduce the leaching of the nutrients because it's growing and using this resource all the year. Another interesting thing is about the weeds, and Valentin with Simbrick and other colleagues study how the effect of Kernza on weeds. And they found that after 3 years, the biomass of the weeds could reduce 88%. So this is another reason that could you decide to plant Kernza, not only to harvest grain and forage, but also maybe in some area of your field you have a high problem with, or serious problem with weed, and we decide to plant this to try to reduce the population of the weed, and maybe 5 years after Kernza you can plant another crop and have a low population of the weed. And well, for all these reasons, we are very enthusiastic about Kernza. There is in this country a project to try to do a perennial agriculture. I am doing my postdoc as part of a big project that is a $10 million project funded by the USDA, NIFA-SAS, and in this project we are doing research on Kernza to try to answer a lot of questions, and also we try to work together with farmers, trying to help to the adoption and increase the acres in the country. So I invite you to join us, to work together. I really believe that the most interesting questions come from this interaction, from university and farmers that are planting this crop. And in this sense, we are installing experiments, trying to evaluate the effect of the chicken manure on Kernza, what is the row spacing that we have to use. We are testing different genotypes of Kernza and intercropping with legumes. And when we are installing this experiment here in Arlington with the help of Ed, and we have the same experiments in different locations in Minnesota, in Iowa, in Kansas, and Nebraska. And the idea is to improve our understanding of these crops. So, as you imagine, as it's a new crop, or relative new crop, we have a lot of questions about how is the best way to manage this crop. I try to summarize some of the ideas that I was learning in the group with Valentin in my notes that some of one have. I also can send you by email if you want. But well, one of the things is about the planting date. And Corede, he defended his master this week, this Thursday, and he tested different planting dates, and he found that it's better, or we have to try to plant early in the fall. We are also testing different row spacing, and our results suggest that if one of the objectives is to control weeds, maybe we need to plant in narrow row spacing in order to the third year have a good competition with the weeds and reduce the weeds. But apparently the wide row spacing is better to maintain the grain yield in time. And another thing that Stefania Cartoni was studying in her master was about intercropping. If you think all of the benefits that I mentioned about perennial crops, all of these increase if we think in intercrop Kernza with legumes, because legumes, because in this mixture we have more diversity, because the biological nitrogen fixation of the legumes, and also because if we think in the low quality of the forage in summer, maybe have in the mixture a legume could improve the quality of this forage that we can harvest. So she studied this intercropping and found that alfalfa, red clover, and currant clover could be a good companion for Kernza to have this intercropping. And the other thing that was the first thing that I started to work when I come here and start to work with Valentin is about the post-harvest management. So we need to understand how to manage these crops, because one of the things that happen is that the first year grain that is not so high over the time tend to decrease. So we think that maybe if we do some practice could avoid this decrease. So we test different practice. One of these was the harvest of forage. And we found that when we harvest forage, the grain yield is similar than if we don't have the forage the forage harvest. So and this is different. So with the results that other colleagues found in other locations, but at least we can harvest forage, and this is not a compromise with the grain. And the other thing that we tried was thinning our Kernza, planting in narrow row spacing, thinning, removing some of the rows. And we found that when we removed some row in our experiment, we removed 3 from 4 rows. When we remove this row, the grain per row increased a lot. So Kernza is very plastic species that increase the plants grow more and increase the grain, but at the end of the day we have the same grain yield that without remove. So now Erica is continuing this thing, because we think that maybe if we do a soft thinning, maybe we can found better result, and she's combining this with fertilization. And I am very enthusiastic about this result, so I hope that the next year in the field day Erica could tell this result, and maybe we found something interesting in this. But well, this is all the things that I want to share. Feel free to ask me some question. I try to answer, and we have Valentin that could help me and maybe share his experience in that.
What's the productive life? I mean, how long do you keep it in?
Sorry, say again.
What's the productive life of
I think that more than 5 years.
So this field on the back here, where we're standing, has 6 years. We planted it in 2015, and we've been harvesting grain every year. The Kernza as a grass crop can live, 20, 30 years. I mean, it doesn't thin out that much as a forage crop. The problem is that after 2 or 3 years, you really get a decline in the grain yield. But yeah, you can have it for many, many years. Other questions?
Valentin, have you taken the grain yield and then the forage yield data and figured out an income curve at which point you should regenerate it, or what's your thought on that?
I haven't done that calculation, but in terms of profitability, I mean, really today the forage production is really high. So just as a forage, you can make it go, and certainly we're getting anywhere between 300 and 900 pounds per acre the first year, and I don't know what's the price this year, but it was like $1 per pound a couple of years ago. Haven't kept up with the numbers, but so it is a decent income with grain anyways. And then when it goes to half of that in the second year or the third year, well, you still have the forage to complement.
says here the key application for what was your experience with tone, and how did you come up with that?
So if you are interested in growing Kernza, I guess we passed the very early experimental stage that we would give away seeds to, oh, I want to try it in my backyard. Can I see how it grows? And so right now we are at a point that what we're looking is farmers who want to commit to it, and we think that the 20 acres is like the minimum commitment. Like if you have less than 20 acres, you're not going to pay attention to it, you're not going to be interested in, and you're going to get whatever result. So that's why we're saying we're looking for, if farmers want to try it, still as an experimental crop, of course, we want to have at least 20 acres so that, it makes sense to, get the equipment to plant, get the equipment to harvest, get somewhat of a decent amount so you can transport it somewhere. Less than 20 acres, it doesn't even, the yield you get is not worth, to put it in a truck. So that's where we're at. So, and we're also interested in farmers who are interested in growing the grain, have experience growing grain, even better if you've grown grass seeds, but also that can use the forage, because again, the main income today would be from the forage. So. And we have, this is the first year we have an extension team in Wisconsin. Jason Fishbach and Gene Schrieffer and Nicole Todges are helping us in the extension side, and so you can contact them and get seed or whatever. Yeah.
Is there a decision point during the season where you have to decide, okay, I'm going to go forage, I'm going to go grain, and when in the season would that decision be made?
Yeah, by early May, the grain, the plants start elongating. By early June, you see all the, how much spikes you have, and you can make a determination if you have enough spikes that would make it make worth the grain harvest, or at that time you probably want to harvest it for forage if you're not, because it's kind of the, if you weigh too much, then you get lower forage quality, but at that, June, you would get good forage quality also.